Good morning, good morning, good morning, y'all. And you know what time it is. It is Conversations with Renee, y'all. We are being unboxed daily. And this conversation is a good one, y'all. I mean, when do I not have good ones? Okay. So I have a guest today. And see, sometimes it's kind of challenging because I know so many people from Baltimore, but I'm going to probably have to make this a Baltimore spot. No, we're going to have a conversation and then I'm going to bring her back for Baltimore Spotlight so she can tell you all about the wonderful things that she's doing. But right now is our conversation with Sister Girl Chat. So this is my girl, y'all. Listen, I'm gonna tell y'all something because y'all know I'm transparent in life and on my platform. So let's keep it 100, right? So I've been knowing this young lady. Now we only 20, and I say this all the time. People be laughing at me, but I've been knowing her well over, oh my gosh, we gonna say 35 plus years. We were in high school together, like ninth grade, right? Okay, now we still look like we could have graduated last year, but again, y'all, that's a whole nother story. But I have been knowing of Michelle since ninth grade, so we were had to be about 14 or 15. So, oh my gosh, Michelle, that's probably all about 40 years ago. And we had lost touch and everything. And then we happened to wind up realizing we was in the same city. And it was like, girl, what? Okay, girl, what? Hook up, right? And I don't know, Michelle, I think our first jump off was the Erica Badu concert or something. I don't know, but we're forever doing something and doing going somewhere. So that was really good. But it was really good to see my sis. And then, like all things, the enemy had his minute for a second, and then we didn't talk for a minute. And guess what? You cannot stop real sisterhood and friendship. I just don't care. You can have your bumps in the road, and I say this all the time. If you drive your car and you get to a speed bump, do you turn around and go back and never get to the destination? Or do you just go over the speed bump, realize, you know what I'm saying, go slow with caution or whatever, and you keep it moving? That's what me and my sis did. Michelle.
Yes,
Michelle. And then listen, y'all gonna really get it today because this is good girlfriend conversation. And Michelle had her podcast. You still got your podcast, Motor Mouth? Because girl, we both gonna be going in. Okay.
yes. I do, but with legal issues regarding the name, I had to rename it. So I'm in the process of doing that. And then I'm
Okay.
going back on air. Yes.
Look.
So good morning, my
Good
beautiful
morning, baby.
people.
And look, they can't stop you. When that song, they can't stop you. So, girl, it's whatever. It's the speed bump that we just talked about, right?
Absolutely. So before I begin, I just want to thank Renee for that wonderful introduction. Everything that has stated is
Yes.
absolutely true. She is an amazing human being.
Oh,
She has
thanks,
a
Cheryl.
heart for God, a heart for God's people. And I'm so excited about the glass ceiling that she's breaking in the telecommunications and media industry, and there's more, so much more in store for her. So I just want to
Michelle.
thank you for this opportunity to fellowship once again and have that good girl conversation.
I know that's right. Michelle, listen here. I'm a G shorty. You can't have me like punk crying on my own station. No, don't be throwing up in there. No, I really appreciate that because we do have to give our flowers while people can smell them. So I really do appreciate that. And
You're
girl,
welcome.
girl, as we were talking, right? Because I mean, they're gonna see your picture because it's gonna come up on when this segment comes up and they're gonna see it on the YouTube because it goes on YouTube afterwards. So they're gonna see your picture and they're gonna see that you is pretty girl, right? So I mean, it is what it is, but you're not just pretty, you're beautiful. And when you're beautiful and you're healing, because that's what we talking about today, Michelle. We single, right? Well, last time I talked, you single, I'm single, you single?
It's complicated.
I love it. Okay. Okay. Well, but you still can give good credence to this conversation. I love it. Y'all see how real it be? I love it. We just let y'all
Mhm.
in. But
Look,
no, but
I plead the fifth.
Okay, okay, got you. I got you. Well, listen, I'm single as a Pringle, right? But the thing about it is, coming out of it was complicated. But at the same token, my complicated, I'm sure, was not your complicated. But Michelle, what I was like, what we were talking about though, or wanted to talk about was honestly, when you have been through relationships and things of that nature, right? And you start healing, you allow God to work on you. You freely start dealing with self and healing from the relationships that you were in the past, understanding who you were and how you showed up in the past, or who you accepted as a relationship in the past. Once you start healing, you start seeing that, there are just it doesn't look the same. People don't look the same. Dating doesn't look the same. Relationship doesn't look the same. Are you experience it or have experienced that?
Okay, so this is a very complex but yet interesting set of topics. And so the first thing that I want your listeners to understand is that you have to know who you are. You
Mm-hmm.
have to not just know who you are, but you have to believe who you are based on what the word of God says
First,
about who
absolutely.
you are. That's first. And then secondly, you have to know what it is that you want, what it is that you don't want. And sometimes the only way that you can conclude what it is that you want and that you don't want is to go through a thing,
Mm-hmm.
to find yourself broken, to have struggles, and to make a conscious decision that you want to be on the other side of a thing. And I'm not married and I've never been married before. However, I've gotten it from people on both sides that they believe that in your singleness that there's something wrong with you. Well,
Mm-mm.
buddy, there's absolutely nothing wrong with me. I'm just a wise woman.
Come on with it.
And so when people talk about, oh, I've been married for 30 years. Oh, I've been married for 20 years. Yes, but you've been going through hell for 20 years.
Okay.
I
Okay.
really don't care about how long you've been married because the length of a marriage has nothing to do with the strength of a marriage.
Wait,
That's
Michelle.
number one.
I wait a minute, Michelle, because you just said something and it hit me yesterday. I got blown away with this because you just said something. Wait a minute, I want you to put a pin right there. So I was talking to this gentleman yesterday, right? And he was hitting me in the head with some stuff. So I said something about being a woman. And he was like, what do you mean? And I was like, well, as a woman, something, something, something. And he says, well, who called you woman? And I was like, wait a minute, what? Right? Like, we can already have a conversation. What you mean, who called me woman? And he was like, well, biblically speaking, the Bible says that I made them male and female. And I said, oh, wait a minute, you teaching? Because I'm like, okay, wait a minute. So going back biblically, God never did call us woman. Adam called us woman, right? Listen to this, Michelle, because this blew my mind. And I was like, wait, you right? He said, no, no, no. God said I created them male and female. And he was like, so, that's how God sees it. He said, but Adam, when he said, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh, I call her woman. Listen to this. He was like, you're only a woman or called a woman when the man has identified you. Wait a minute, girl, and
Mm,
wifing, and you become one, you become woman.
mm.
It's like, ouch, Michelle. That thing hit me in the head. I said, give me a few minutes to marinate on that because as we deal with words, because you know that words are identifiers, right?
Yes.
So when I said that I was a single woman, no, I'm a single female. But I was just like, oh, and I'm a wordologist. I do get stuck on words. So I only interjected and said, put a pin right there because what you were saying was really impactful as well. That first and foremost, you have to know where you are, who you are, and understand what you're looking at, or go back again because it made me click to what he had said yesterday about that identifier.
About being single and your singleness and knowing who you are as a woman. And so, yes, what he said and what you agreed to is absolutely correct. Whenever, and some women get offended when you say the word female or you use the word female, but female is just simply about your physical distinctions.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your body part,
Biological,
your
biological,
biological,
scientifically
yes, in
created.
natural order, absolutely. But when you say woman, that's about covenant. It's
Mm-hmm.
about purpose. It's about what God's plan is for your life and your role is as a woman. So when I
Mm-hmm.
said singleness and knowing that there's nothing wrong with you
At all.
based on your singleness, singleness doesn't mean brokenness.
At all, girl. Go ahead and say that one. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And a lot of people have a hard time with that. There are some women and men who are not comfortable in their own skin being with themselves. I enjoy my own company.
And Michelle, you definitely do. But wait a minute, let me just say this, y'all. I forgot to say this, right? Just in case, because just in case, I introduced her because she's my girlfriend, Michelle. That's my homie. That's my girl, right? But to the people who don't know her, I just want to go ahead and say this, right? To give credence. She's Dr. Michelle Edwards. Okay, so go ahead. Go ahead, Michelle. Go ahead, Shelly.
So, thank you. And so, after a while, and I'm about to digress for a second, but we take on other people's opinions and thoughts about who we are.
Yeah.
And so that's not in this book that I've read, The Four Agreements. Have you ever read that book?
Mm-mm. But heck,
All
say that
right.
title
So
again, suggested to
yeah,
me and everybody
a-
listening.
absolutely. And so we take on things that as a woman, as a female, that other people project onto us. We're too fat. We're too skinny. We're too tall. We're too short. We need to lose weight. We don't need to lose weight. At the complexion of our skin, your skin is too dark. Your skin is too light, or whatever it is. And we take all those little opinions and thoughts of other people, and we agree with them knowingly and unknowingly,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So that comes back to what we're talking about relationships and about dating and the luggage that we bring with us into a relationship. So, a lot of times you hear we attract who we are. We attract, and some women and some men want to know, well, why do I attract the same type of woman? Or
Mm-hmm.
how do I attract why do I attract the same type of men? It's because of the energy that you're projecting in the
Mm-hmm.
universe.
But you know what, Michelle, in saying that, here's the wild thing or the flip side to that, right? Because I wanted to also kind of touch on this a lot as well. So you're exactly right, right? I 100% agree with you. I kept saying, I get the same man, right? I mean, and I'm not into zodiacs and all that stuff, but I literally kept getting the same guy, even with the same characteristics and around the same birthdays. Like they literally, I'm like, that you can't be kidding. That's not your birthday. And they like, yeah, I'm like, they had the general same personality. But this is the part that I wanted to focus on for a minute because, or actually for more than a minute, but I kept getting emotionally disconnected men because I too was okay with emotionally disconnected men because I disconnected at sometimes as well. Sometimes I just ain't want to be bothered, right? And so it's like I kept getting men who were either in the process of healing or just starting a healing journey. And I attracted them for a few reasons. One, because of my therapeutic stance and, and my nurturingness and my discerning and, and all of that. I attracted those type of people. But again, like I said, they were not always fully in a position to give back to me or to pour into me because they were actually kind of pulling from me. So this is what I wanted to kind of talk about a little bit. As I healed, I realized that that same type of person was not the person I was attracting, number one. And then number two, because I started dealing with me, which was the parts that was attracting people that it didn't last with anyway, I realized that my pickings, quote unquote, became very slim. And not that I'm a perfectionist or not that I'm looking for this, tall, dark, like this checklist of people, this, that, and another. My checklist, if we want to call it a checklist, it changed because my healing changed. And so I was
Absolutely.
right. And I was like, I can look at this in two ways. Did my pickings become slim? And oh my goodness, do I join the ranks of people like, oh, it must be pee in a dating pool? No, yeah, it is. But it's always been there. But now that I've healed, I just don't want that dating pool anymore, number one. But then I looked at it like this, Michelle. Since I've healed, notice that I'm focusing on me and taking accountability. Since
Yeah.
I healed, that means the person that I do become in a relationship with is also a person that's healed or further in the healing journey, because so am I. And it would make for a better relationship anyway than the unhealed, unprocessed individuals I was allowing to settle with from the beginning.
Absolutely. And thank God for healing because baby, encounter a man or men who are emotionally disconnected,
Oh my gosh.
you'll find past trauma,
Oh my gosh.
mommy issues,
Big time.
failed
Big time.
relationships,
Big time.
upbringing,
Big time.
conditioning. Oh, well, my dad and my uncles, I watched them cheat.
Oof.
I
Mm.
watched them beat their wives and their girlfriends.
Mm-hmm.
Fear of being vulnerable, not being
Mm-hmm.
able to open up because they
Identity
see,
issues.
yes, being emotional as being weak, or
Mm-hmm.
not wanting people to judge them, or feeling like they
Yes.
don't have control when they're vulnerable. And then the most important part for me is that lack of emotional intelligence. That's why a lot of men are not able to connect,
Mm-hmm.
because some of them have a low level of emotional intelligence. But then when you flip that, and then we want to look at why women attract, those men are who are emotionally disconnected, it's because naturally as women, we're
That's what
nurturers.
I was
we
getting ready to
want to
say.
we
I
want
was
to
the over
fix.
nurturer. Yes.
Yes, we want to fix and we want to help, and we believe that, oh well, maybe he couldn't change with you, but I'm a different type of woman.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a nurturer. I'm going to love him through his brokenness. I'm going to love him through his
Mm-hmm.
his stress, through his loss of a job, through his divorce, or whatever it is that he's experiencing. And then because we also have unresolved
Mm-hmm.
wounds and trauma, that we tend to neglect, what we've been through. And because we're nurturers, we don't take care of ourselves. So we want to take what we've not given to ourselves and give it to somebody else. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? And then
Mm-hmm.
also we see the good in people. As women, because we're
Yes.
nurturers, we hope for change. We have
Yes.
this belief that if I love him enough, he'll open up, or he'll change for me. And the bottom line is this, baby.
And Michelle, let me just give it to you 100, right? Check this out. I am that person, right? I do it. I don't go out my way to do it. I literally do exude love. I'm my father's child, right? But what I realized is, like you said, I'm not gonna say I never, that would be a lie. I don't go in like, oh, I can change him. I just be like, look, I model myself before him. If he changes, he changes. If he doesn't, he doesn't. Sadly enough, though, Michelle, because y'all know, like I said, I keep it 100. I was married 3 times. And guess what I did? Was this loving woman before this man who went and gave all his training and married somebody else, right? And they
Yeah,
got the
yeah.
person that I developed. And I used to be in my feelings behind that because I'm like, God. And I even had my last husband tell me, Michelle, when I divorced him, why would you spend all that time pouring into me and allowing me to be a changed man for somebody else to benefit? So for a half a second, let me keep it 100, for a half a second, I started pondering that and was like, yeah, I just gave him 10 years. And I'm like, he is not the person that he came in. Oh my goodness. He has developed into this but Michelle, girl, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. He told me that, and for a minute, I was like, "Yeah, maybe I shouldn't divorce this, that, and another." But can I tell you, at the same time he was popping his gum saying that, Michelle, where we was looking to renew our 10-year wedding vows, this man was engaged to the woman that he's married to right now. So I'm like, how you telling me not to divorce you when you engaged to somebody else and making wedding plans with her? Like, you know what? You've not changed. You just now
Right.
know how to speak change and think that I was going to be dumb enough to stay stuck in I mean, emotionally abusive marriage for the, like you said, you could be there for 20 in a marriage for 20 years. And I used to say that, Michelle, I'm like, I want that 20, 30, 40 years, but it's no way possible. When God said in John 10:10 that I come that you have life and it more abundant, he didn't mean for you to be in a relationship, I mean, be in a marriage for 20 years miserable. That's not of God.
Exactly.
Girl.
Exactly. And so when you talk about that, how could you just for a second, well, I understand two things that you stated. That is, I'm being my loving self, my authentic self, and I'm helping this man to grow through his situation and circumstances, and I'm loving him unconditionally. How dare you go take everything that I've taught you and share it with someone else and be the person that I've been asking you to be or showing you to be all this time. So I understand how, for a moment you can have a bit of resentment towards that.
Girl,
And then
resentment,
also,
grief, crying nights, and all that
yes,
stuff. And
yes,
then I
yes,
was like, you know what? Guess what? I just gave a huge portion to the community. Y'all will thank me later, women. This
but
woman number two. Well, now first husband,
it,
she ain't gonna thank me because he's still a mess. Second husband,
right.
his wife ain't gonna thank me either because he's. But third husband, girlfriend, you know who you are.
He
Thank
did
you.
a 360-degree turn.
Uh huh.
But listen, you said
Thank
something
me.
key too. He, while he was changing and he was engaged to somebody else, he was still talking trash to you. And
Yes,
when I say trash, I mean trying to manipulate and control the situation.
which showed
But
me he didn't
really,
change.
he exactly. So he was still wearing a mask. And there's this Japanese proverb that I like, and it's always resonated in my spirit. And it's very popular. It says that we have three faces or three masks, right? The
Mm-hmm.
first face you show the world. The second one, you show your close friends and your family. But that third mask, baby, you never show anybody. It's the truest
Ooh.
reflection of who a person is. And we'll never get a chance to see that face or that mask from that person because nobody knows it but God, because he's the only one that's a searcher of a heart. And that's the
Mm.
mask that we hide from the world. So
Mm. It's like I said, it's a little insert of a poem that I wrote long time ago, and it said, I wrote, mirror, mirror on the wall, show me, lest I fall. That has been my little gift to me, that always before I start talking about a splinter in somebody else's eye, I'm gonna have to deal with the plank that's in mine. So I'm
correct.
always looking at, that's why when I kept saying I chose, and at the end of the day, I won't male bash anyway. Yes, I can give you the negative traits and characteristics of the people that I chose, but what I choose more is to realize why I did it so that I won't repeat the same behavior. And sadly enough, with all due respect, I love my sisters, but a lot of times we fall short in that area. We don't want to be held accountable. We don't want to look at ourselves because we too busy focused on, well, he ain't this, he ain't doing that, he ain't doing that. But you have to realize, guess what, at the end of the day, you have to, what you said, know who you are. You have to identify and recognize your power. We are more powerful than we give ourselves credit for. Men have been ruined, come to ruins because of a woman, right? But then men have also succeeded greatly because of a woman. Do you understand what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
so we have to
Absolutely.
deal with ourselves with that. And then we were talking a little bit earlier, Michelle, because in that, we're talking about relationships and stuff like that. But in that, when you have a lot of us out here, shaking a tail feather, conducting yourself in such a way that you don't bring respect to you or a positive light into, and that I feel, and tell me, I feel that it's hard for a weak man anyway to become strong, to be the person he needs to be, because he's got so much of that to contend with, that you got one or two things. He has to grow past it and get to a point where it's like, no, that's just not what I want. Or he's, like you said, the emotionally unaware or unintelligent individual goes, I expect every woman to be shaking and doing this and this, that, and other. And baby, we just not in that type of class that's what you're gonna get. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I'm just, as a woman, let me just state publicly that sometimes as a Black woman, as a professional, as a God-fearing Black woman, I am embarrassed sometimes
Appalled.
by appalled by it, and I have to clutch my pearls by the behavior that I'm seeing. Like I'm serious, and so you're touching on a very big issue for me, and I thank God that I don't have daughters. I have two sons, but with everything that we see on social media and we see publicly, it's perversion, it's
Mm-hmm.
sex, it's drugs, it's alcohol, and now it's and it's portrayed as being normal. It's like what's right is now wrong, and what's wrong is right. And so when you talk about sex and sexual identity and casual hookups and dating apps and you know exploitation,
Mm.
'cause people want to have sexual freedoms, and then you hear rap music and they're talking about ecstasy and Molly and all these other things, and as if it's Percocets and as if it's okay. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just really sad because it's an underlying pressure, and all of these things on social media, they lead to mental health crisis, a
Yes.
lack of guidance, a lack of parenting, and all of that. And when you look at it from a holistic perspective, it affects who we are
Yes.
and
As a
how we
community.
relate.
Yes.
Yes, how we relate to other people. And so for me, I believe that there is a relational loss as a result to how men and women interact with each other. And so when
Absolutely.
you talk about the dating and you talk about how some men, not all men, have no respect for women, but some women have no respect for themselves. I'm
Yeah.
tired of opening up social media and seeing women, the only thing you have is a cute face and you're twerking, and you're offering no value to the young women who might be
Mm-hmm.
looking at you. And I'm not saying everybody's supposed to be a role model, but I just remember when I was younger, and even back in the 50s and the 60s, you saw women that had skirts down to their ankles. They had their
Or
their
look, even if
uh
not down to their ankles, Michelle, they might have been the pencil skirts down to their knees. But at the
yeah.
same token, they were, I don't want to say professional, they were demure. They looked like I demand
Practice
respect. Yeah,
themselves.
yeah, yeah. And the thing about it is, though, just like you say, you turn on the television and you see the twerking and social media and all that stuff. You know what's sad though, Michelle? As we turn on that television and I flip the station, we're also seeing a lot of celebrities and people crying and speaking about getting the BBLs removed, getting the breasts removed, the health things that come with it, the psychological things that came with it, and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? So the
Yeah.
medical challenges that are coming with having, now they're getting the stuff removed, and that, like you said, it goes back to what you were saying in the beginning about identifying and knowing yourself. Because if you really know yourself, like, listen, everybody's not shaped the same, right? And don't get me wrong, some
Right.
of these people looking like, what is it, off-brand Barbie doll. When the Barbie got that, but then you get that doll baby that the leg come off and it got the
Yeah.
the extra thigh or whatever. Like, it's like you trying to change into that, but then you wonder why he's not, well, not, now you're wondering why, or you're having thoughts about, do he really love me, do he want me, is he, because you're not even you. So if you can't identify who you are, you're not going to identify if somebody is authentically loving you, because you're not even you. We
And
talk
you
about,
don't even love
yeah,
yourself to recognize that the reason why this man doesn't love you is because you're only allowing him to celebrate your body, and you don't realize that sexualization object of being an
objectification. Yeah.
object of that sexual relationship is what the focus is. So without spiritual maturity and understanding that if you are living without purpose, it's easy to
Ooh,
follow a trend. It's easy to be under peer pressure. It's easy to have a failed relationship. But when you recognize what your true calling is as a woman under God, it makes you want to cover your breasts. It makes you want to keep your butt hidden from the world. It makes you want to present yourself in such a way that pleases God, it pleases your son, or pleases your daughter, or pleases your parents. It makes
Mm-hmm.
you want to be a woman of character. It makes you want to have virtue. It makes you want to continue to walk in wisdom, and to
Mm-hmm.
understand that your influence and your gifts lie within, building a family, building a community, but more importantly, building the kingdom of God.
But
So
but
you
society
understand your
plays.
purpose. It's less, you're less moved or influenced by, worldly things and
But you
the
just said
role of a
something.
woman.
Society plays such a huge impact on what people begin to believe or think about themselves. It always been. It's always why do you think we have infomercials and commercials? Because it is psychologically set up for us to think or believe that unless we have that thing or those stuff or that or go that place or this, that, and another, then we are not anybody. But like you said, when you recognize who you are at a 6 or a size 16 or at 30 or 55, 58 or whatever, when you recognize who you are, and that can come at any time. Like, let me keep it 100. I always had a sense of who I was, always, but didn't have the deeper sense of who I was as how God saw me until probably like maybe early 30s. Let's just keep it real, right? But
Yeah,
I always had a sense of me, but I'm talking about us searching to get a deeper sense of purpose in who we are and whose we are and why we are, right? And so
yeah,
I think that, no, not think, I believe that when we do that, when we do a deeper search into, okay, when we go back further than who gave me birth to who created me,
yes,
then we'll start looking at, okay, you know what, like you said, I self-identify with the creator, not with another person. Then I
correct,
also start to heal, so those, like we said earlier, those persons that I attract, I no longer attract because they're not coming in filling in my unhealed spaces, right? Because
correct,
I'm working on that. And again, we're in a continual process of healing until our eyes are closed shut for good. The healing is a continual process. Now you can be delivered from several things, but you're always it's always going to be something. You we don't get like one cold all our life. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we get a couple colds, so we
correct,
have to kill from. You know what I'm saying? So it all depends because at every level and everything we should be growing, and in every growth there's a process. So let's say, let me say, we're always processing. It's not necessarily having to
yeah,
heal, but we're always processing if we're continuously growing. And I think we do have to really get back to the core foundation so that the relationships will be better. And a lot of that is, I know this mic is going to sound unpopular. And again, Michelle, I don't care. Stop
correct,
scrolling, right? Stop
correct,
scrolling. If you want to use that thumb it through the pages of the words of the creator so that you can get your
correct.
strength, right? If you want to use that thumb, stop scrolling, turn off. Sometimes, Michelle, I'm going to let you go for a second because we're going to conclude a little bit. I was like, my guilty pleasure back in the day, I'm gonna keep it 100. My guilty pleasure was a really a mind mush reality show. And then
Um,
as I got to heal, I'm like, even if I go across it and I see a commercial, I'm like, "Ah, I just threw up in my mouth. Like, that is, are we, this how we acting? Like, this is I'm like, I can't even get into them because it's just like, really, whether you're acting or whether whatever, like what you're portraying, what you're putting across there, especially some of these um reality shows with, women our age portraying themselves in a way, it's like, ma'am, did you not grow out of that? Like, come on, can we give some other content? Like, don't do this, especially if you have children and daughters of your own. Let's not do this. Let's not do this for the culture. You know how they say, do it for the culture. Let's not
right.
do that for the culture.
Ex- Exactly. And you saying something when you talk about healing and recognizing that it's important for you to heal. Well, that's critical because just through living here on this earth for the past 55 years, I've come to recognize that the reason why a lot of people are not healed
Hmm.
is because number one, they don't want to be.
That's true.
And number two, they don't want to do the work
That's
to
it.
become healed.
That's
You
it.
have to start with being honest with yourself.
I always say you've got to be real with whatever it is that you're going through or whatever it is that's there. Then you have to
Absolutely.
deal with it and then you can heal from it. Real, deal,
Absolutely.
and heal.
That's right. Healing begins with honesty. And then once you're able to heal, then you can surrender to God's love and accept who you are based on who God says that you are. But then also, a critical part is a lot of people can't get past their stuff because they don't know how to forgive and to
Ooh, see, you get
release.
ready go.
I'm
You
not
going
holding
down a
on to
whole nother. Yeah,
anything.
you
Right.
going down another road, girl. You
Yeah, you
listen,
gotta you gotta forgive. The Bible says to forgive 70 times 70. So
and
that
that
means
includes
as long as
yourself.
we're living, exactly, you have to forgive yourself and forgive the people that have hurt you. But we have to forgive. If the Bible says forgive 70 times 70, that means that there's always going to be somebody to offend us. There's always going to be somebody who is going to hurt us. But I've learned that it's all in perception
Yes,
of
yes,
that.
yes, yes,
It's
yes.
perception. So today, I proclaim that today is the day that I have become unoffendable. You
I
can't
know that's
offend me,
right.
baby.
And
I'm
because wait a minute, let me
free.
tell you something, Michelle. People probably don't even realize, and I know this is deep, but it is what it is, though, because I got to teach at the same token. Offense is a spirit. It's not just a word. Like you can be upset, but offense is a spirit. And once you
Correct.
open the door and a portal for a spirit, baby, they come in with more of their friends. And it's like having a house party where you only invited six guests, and you open up, you wind up looking around, and your whole house is packed. So yeah, offense is a spirit. It's not just the thing to say that I'm offended. I'm like, you
Absolutely.
shouldn't do that, baby. You bring in a spirit. You can be angry,
Right.
you can upset, this, that, and another, displeased, but don't bring upon a spirit of offense.
Absolutely. So that's why it's important for us to renew our mind. What are you telling yourself? You
Mm-hmm.
know, how many lies have you told yourself that you actually believe that you're not good enough, that you're not
Mm.
worthy, that you'll never heal? You know,
Mm.
we have to replace those lies
Those
of the
self-proclaimed
enemy.
prophecies that you speak
Yes,
over yourself.
yes, yes. We have to replace that with God's truth, So that's why in Romans 12:2, his word says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind,
Yep.
because whatever the enemy says, you have to use God's word to replace that. Otherwise, that's the reason why a lot of people find themselves stuck and unable to move past their trauma because they're not being honest. They're not
Yep.
releasing that energy. They're not forgiving themselves, and they're not dismissing the lies that have been told to them.
Or
So,
they're
we
telling
have to,
themselves.
exactly, because of what they're telling themselves. So we have to walk in boldness and declare a thing, decree and declare a thing of who we are. I am healed. I
Mm-hmm.
am whole.
I
I
am
am
big on affirmations,
unoffendable.
Michelle. That is one of the things when people come to sessions with me, they be like, okay, really? Are we getting ready to go over the affirmations again? You don't understand how effective and how powerful they are. And I
Yeah.
didn't realize until I made that a very large portion of my therapeutic services or impartation strategy to people. I didn't realize, like I said, till I made that an important part, that there were so many people, male and female though, well into their years of life, that were unable to look in the mirror and give themselves five compliments and or affirm themselves with at least 3 to 5 affirmations. They would hold the mirror and be like, I have a cute shirt. And I'm like, baby, that has nothing to do with that. That shirt could burn up. It could, get trashed. It could get dirt on it or whatever. That shirt doesn't affirm you. You would be surprised how many people are not able to give themselves affirmations, accolades or positive things about themselves, their internal, their character, not their car, not their hair, not their clothes, but to be able to say five positive things about themselves in the mirror.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So when you look at it from a holistic perspective, at the end of the day, it's for me, it's about even with dating,
Mm-hmm.
um, nobody can enter into my life and disturb my peace. That's a no-no.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, I'm going to guard my heart because
With
once
all
you put in
diligence.
that work, when you put in that work for your own personal growth and development, when you've allowed God to enter into your heart to heal
Mm.
you in places that you didn't even sometimes know existed. That's a lot of work, and you
Oh,
mature
yes, Lord.
spiritually. Once you heal, baby, can't nobody come into my life and disrupt my peace. And I'm going to guard my heart at all costs. Because if you don't avoid toxic people, they're with their patterns and their environments that reopen old wounds, you'll find yourself going back. So, yesterday or 2 days ago when I talked to you, look, if you look back, you go back.
I know that's
I'm not
right.
looking back. I'm looking forward to the promises of God. I'm looking forward to the connections that God, the future connections. I'm looking forward to the people whose life I can make a difference into. Because think about it this way: if you've experienced past trauma and you have not enabled or allowed yourself to heal or forgiven yourself, right? But we want God to forgive us, but we haven't forgiven ourselves and we can't forgive other people. You don't even understand your purpose, but more importantly, you don't understand that other people's lives are weighing in the balance,
Yeah.
waiting for you to become healed and to become
Yes.
whole and to walk in purpose. And that's the saddest part of it all.
Let me tell you something. So I'm gonna end this with a funny because that was powerful. But I got through this. I know that. Listen, Michelle, because when you heal, listen. When you heal, so there was this guy. Now, anybody who knows me back in the late '80s, early '90s, so y'all gonna know who I'm talking about and everything. But back then, Michelle, I was in love with this man. He was everything. He was everything, like better than sliced bread, girl, butter on a biscuit. He was everything. I compared every man to him. He was the bee's knees. And you couldn't tell me he wasn't the finest thing that ever hit this side of heaven.
I know that. Doesn't the enemy know how to package them up for us?
Yes. And look, Michelle, after I got healed and whole and him out of my system and stuff, Michelle, I seen him. I was like, what the fly? Did you always have that big forehead? Like, it was just like, I said, oh my God, he is ugly. But when I was with him, girl, you couldn't tell me nothing. He was Denzel and everything else fine. Look, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I know that's funny, but these are even just little funny things that when you know something is out of your system, when you know you've forgiven, right? You can
Yeah,
go
yeah,
around the person, you can hear the person's name or whatever the case may be, and it doesn't even bother you. It gives you no feeling at all. Like you're okay. But if that name is still mentioned, or if you see that person or something that still reminds you of that person and you cringing up or you feeling something, I'm just letting you know it's still some healing to be done. And that's nothing bad. I'm just giving you an
right.
indicator to let you know it's still some things
Yeah,
that you've got to deal with.
that's
Or
funny.
like I said, or you see that person, whatever the case may be, and like you said, you have no feeling or whatever the case may be, you have healed past that. And that is a good thing. And I'm thinking, Michelle, at the end of this, I would even have a summary to just be like, listen, right? Go through the process of healing. I tell people all the time when they first start sessions with me, I said, I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to like me through this. And you shouldn't, because healing hurts. And I'm going to make you deal with some things that you have to deal with in order to get to the next level. And that's why a lot of people don't like therapeutic services, because you start opening up stuff they don't want to open anymore, but they don't realize if you still sick, you're still going to deal with the outward manifestations and behaviors of whatever it is you won't deal with. So which one do you
Yeah.
want to choose? Do you want to keep on being sick, knowing why you're sick and not heal from it, or go ahead and start
Mhm.
taking that medicine so that you can be healed, right?
Absolutely. I just want to add because that was funny about the guy. Man, I've had a few moments in my life where I looked at a guy that I dated and was like, what the hell was I thinking about?
All
Or,
day long.
and I even called one of my closest friends and said, listen, you saw me dating? Like, why? throw some water in my face or smack me in my face and tell me to wake up. Like, good God. And in that moment, you thinking, like you said, best thing since sliced bread. And
Yes.
then when you get that revelation, you like, oh my God, what was I thinking at that moment, in my life? But again, it just goes back to what I said earlier. You sometimes, but you can see past that
Yeah.
because we're so nurturing and we're so, you're so innocent, especially when you're younger. You're so innocent and honest. And it's not that I've never been the type of woman like, oh, just because you want access to me, you can have it.
Oh, heck to
My
the no, nigga. It
access
was a
to
privilege. It was a privilege having
exactly.
access to me.
Exactly. Just because I'm giving you some time don't mean you have complete access to me. So nobody gets to have complete access to me under any circumstances. But, healing is definitely important.
It is.
Just hearing you and how you impart into other people's lives and hearing about and talking to you about your journey of healing, it does quite a few things. It restores your identity.
Absolutely.
It,
Absolutely.
it restores your identity. It breaks generational curses,
Mm,
uh, generational cycles of just being unhealed. It protects future relationships because we're working on ourselves. That means that we can interact with other people,
hmm
but more importantly, it unlocks our God-given purpose.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. And so listen, y'all. Listen, I know y'all got something from this conversation this morning because I mean, you get it every morning because that's what it is, but it's always different and it's always good. So, and not just the conversation, y'all, but the fact of the matter that comes after this and all that good music stored up next for you to tune in to DOD Radio Network, where you know what it is. This is the station for your best self, best life, best radio. Say that and that part. Peace, y'all.